What if I told you that someone had been living in your home, without you ever knowing it? It all started like a typical evening for the Peterson family in suburban Ohio. The house was quiet, the lights dimmed, and the scent of dinner still lingered in the kitchen. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but soon, subtle signs began to appear, things that didn't make sense at first. Doors that were supposedly locked were left slightly ajar. A kitchen cabinet would be open, even though everyone had checked it that morning. A pair of shoes that should have been in the closet was found in the living room. At first, the Petersons dismissed these incidents as simple mistakes. After all, who could imagine that a stranger had been silently moving through their home, unseen and unheard? It started small, faint creaks in the night, footsteps echoing in empty hallways, the faintest sound of a door closing. The family chalked it up to the old house settling, but then things escalated. One night, Sarah Peterson, the youngest of the family, woke up to a shadow in her doorway. Her heart pounded, but when she flicked on the light, nothing was there. The feeling of being watched didn't disappear, and sleep became impossible. Her parents were skeptical at first, attributing her fears to an overactive imagination, but soon they could not ignore it themselves. The family's home security system, which they had never considered very sophisticated, began to record oddities. Motion sensors would trigger with no one in sight. Cameras caught fleeting shadows, moving across rooms that were supposed to be empty. Footage from one night showed a figure crouched behind a living room, couch sheet's face obscured, almost blending with the darkness. It was empty until a neighbor mentioned seeing someone leaving the house at odd hours. That the Petersons realized something was seriously wrong. Calls to the local police brought a standard response. "We'll check it out." But what they found during the investigation would make national headlines in the months that followed. The police arrived in the early afternoon. Officers swept the house thoroughly, inspecting every room, closet, and even the attic. It was in the attic that they found it, a small, hidden space behind a false wall. Inside were makeshift bedding, food wrappers, clothing, and evidence that someone had been living there for months. No forced entry. No signs of burglary. Whoever had been staying there had quietly slipped in and out of the house, unnoticed by the family or neighbors. The intruder had been living literally under their noses, coming down to use the kitchen, perhaps even moving through the living room while the Petersons were asleep. It was a case of what authorities now refer to as phrogging, a term that comes from the idea of hiding like a frog in someone else's home. While it sounds like something out of a horror movie, it has happened in multiple states across the U.S., including Ohio, California, and South Carolina. In each instance, intruders would secretly occupy the homes of unsuspecting families for weeks or months at a time. Experts say the psychological toll on victims is immense. The Petersons reported constant anxiety, inability to sleep, and paranoia that lasted months after the discovery. They couldn't shake the thought that someone had watched them shower, slept in their beds, and moved through their private spaces undetected. The most chilling aspect of phrogging is the invader's ability to remain unnoticed. Often, these individuals are meticulous. They observe routines, avoid making noise, and manipulate the environment to ensure the family never suspects their presence. Some even alter minor things in the house, lightly moving furniture or hiding items to gauge if anyone notices. Investigators examining the Peterson case noted a level of precision that suggested prior experience. The intruder had used everyday household items to survive, drinking from the fridge, using the bathrooms, and sleeping in the hidden attic space. It's unclear how long exactly the intruder had been there, but it was enough time to collect clothing, personal items, and even some food from the pantry. Authorities are still puzzled about the intruder's identity. There were no fingerprints, no DNA matches in national databases, and no reports of missing persons in the area that matched the description of someone capable of living in the house unnoticed. It remains one of the more unsettling phrogging cases in American history, precisely because it defies easy explanation. Other cases in the United States mirror the Petersons' experience. In California, a family returned from vacation to find their home, seemingly untouched but hidden in a small crawl space. Police discovered someone had been living there. In South Carolina, a man entered his own home one evening and found a stranger sitting in the living room, pretending to be asleep on the couch. These cases highlight how terrifyingly real this phenomenon can be. The aftermath for the Peterson family was not just physical but emotional. They had to install a completely new security system, change all locks, and even move some furniture around to regain a sense of normalcy. Therapy became a part of their lives, helping them cope with the trauma of knowing that a stranger had occupied their home, unseen, for an extended period. Experts warn that phrogging is more common than the public realizes. The combination of old homes, unsecured access points, and inattentive neighbors can create the perfect environment for such intrusions. While it may seem like something out of a horror movie, it is frighteningly true and can happen anywhere. One chilling factor is that intruders are not always motivated by theft or harm. In many cases, the phroggers' goal is simply to hide and remain undetected. They might steal small amounts of food or use electricity, but their primary aim is to exist in the shadows. This makes the phenomenon especially terrifying. It's not about what they take, but about the violation of privacy and safety. In reflecting on the case, the Petersons reported a lingering sense of unease. Even after the intruder was removed and the house secured, the feeling of being watched persisted. Every creak, every shadow in the night, triggered memories of someone moving silently through their home. It's a trauma that doesn't fade easily. Authorities continue to investigate phrogging incidents nationwide. In some cases, suspects are caught, but often they remain elusive. Because the intrusions are secretive and leave minimal trace, the crime is extremely difficult to solve. This has contributed to the enduring horror surrounding the casista idea that someone could be living unseen, right under your roof, and vanish without a trace. Phrogging also raises broader societal questions about security, privacy, and trust. How well do we truly know our neighbors? How secure are our homes? And how vigilant should we be in our own private spaces? The Petersons' experience serves as a stark warning. Sometimes, the scariest monsters are not supernatural, they are human, and they hide in plain sight. Some phrogging stories even suggest a level of intimacy with the victim's routines. In certain documented cases, intruders adjusted the thermostat, left food out in a deliberate manner, or interacted with objects in the home in ways that suggested observation over weeks or months. These small, invasive actions amplify the horror. They demonstrate not only presence, but an understanding of the household's daily life, which makes victims feel violated in the most personal way imaginable. For viewers, the lessons from these true cases are clear. Always be aware of your home environment, trust your instincts, and understand that even the most ordinary, safe-looking neighborhood may hide disturbing possibilities. While phrogging is rare, it has happened enough times to prove that reality can be stranger and scarier than fiction. The Petersons eventually rebuilt their sense of safety, but their story remains a chilling reminder. Imagine waking up one day, discovering that someone had been sharing your home for months, sleeping in your beds, and observing your every move without a single clue until the very end. It's a fear that stays with you, haunting your imagination long after the story is told. In conclusion, the horror of phrogging is quiet, subtle, and deeply personal. It doesn't rely on ghosts or monsters. It relies on something much scarier. The knowledge that another human can exist in your space undetected, and you might never know how long they may be in. Terry, the Peterson case, along with others across Ohio, California, and South Carolina, serves as a haunting example of how reality can be far more terrifying than fiction. It challenges our sense of security, our perception of normalcy, and ultimately, our belief that our homes are safe havens. So, the next time you hear a faint creak in your attic or notice a door slightly ajar, remember this story. Sometimes, the scariest presence is not something you imagine, it's something real. Thanks for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the strange and unexplained. Stay safe out there.